Hello, welcome back to Call by the Cut. So I'm on the Lichfield Canal and we're on the hunt for something very peculiar. You may have seen this, you may have not. It's down this way. Down this route, it's an area that's not restored, but it's certainly been thought about. Things have happened in the area and wow. So can you see all these butterflies? They're everywhere. So this is what Canal Restoration is all about. Is restoring this. You know, this is the most butterfly. I haven't seen this many butterflies this year anywhere, if I count them all together. There are hundreds in here, and I've only just walked. But literally, that first section was just there, look, by that big tree. It's amazing. So many different colours as well, all the different types. But anyone that says canals destroy habitat, they couldn't be more wrong. So this was original Canal Line. It's all been changed a little bit, as you'll see coming up. But this is going to be restored. Hopefully, this will be full of water. It's a good few years off, admittedly. But once the water's in here, you're going to have a water source for all this nature as well. And this wouldn't be here if it wasn't for trusts like the, Lichfield and Canal Restoration Trust, who are doing this section. They do loads of tree planting, shrub planting, and all sorts, all the way down through their sections. It's just going to be a massive corridor of wildlife. But anyway, I was distracted then by all the butterflies. But this is going to be a lock here. So this is going to be lock 9A, which is not an original lock, which I'll explain why shortly. You may be able to hear what we're going to find, actually. There's probably a bit of background noise here, might be a clue. So if you look below, if you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button, click the bell button, and it notifies you, get a pop-up on your phone when my videos are going live. But also there'll be a join button. I now offer memberships on my channel. But yeah, so here you've got a wall. It's obviously been restored. So you've got like I don't know if it was a wharf here originally, once upon a time. There's a pub back there and sort of the edge of a small settlement here, so it could well be. You can see the crack in there where it's been warm. It's actually been very wet the past few weeks, but we had a very warm spell before that. So you may be able to see the first sign of what we're coming here to see. So just overhead there, you might see it looks like a big green trough. So this canal was facing some issues. Within the restoration, there's been several opportunities that have come up that the trust have had to act on to save the canal, because if they didn't, things would become probably too expensive to actually repair or replace or divert or whatever they had to do. Don't get me wrong, they've still got lots of challenges, some of which are on the end that's closest to being open to the network, but there would have been some major ones, and one of them you may know. So if you've ever travelled on the M6 toll, you'll come across a very random looking aqueduct. It's not connected. It kind of looks like a trough just floating. And the reason for that is when they were building the M6 toll, they built over the line of the canal. If action wasn't taken at the time, that would have been built. And crossing in a motorway is a major undertaking, especially a private motorway, like the M6 toll is. It was built by a private firm. That's why you pay a toll. It's not run by the government. Part of the reason why there's no potholes on it, I expect. If they tried to build the bridge at a later date, in 20 years when they might be up here or whenever, then the chances are it would have never have happened. So forward thinking at the time led them to reach some agreement. So the company Midland Expressway, who were the proprietors of the motorway, they funded the foundations of the aqueduct. The Lichfield and Canal Restoration Trust had to find the money for everything else. So they launched a fundraising initiative, which was to finance the superstructure, and the aqueduct was installed on 15th and 16th of August 2003. And still stands to stay ready for the day that the canal goes up. So the canal, which was originally Worley and Essington, was built from the Ogley Junction at Brown Hills, which is on the northern Birmingham Canal navigations, across to Huddersfield, Junction, which is on the Coventry Canal. The canal is 7 miles long, but has a total of 30 locks on it. So from Ogley Junction, it's on a 4 then all the way to the Coventry Canal, and cut off quite a section of navigation for boaters years ago to bring their goods. The canal was authorised by an Act of Parliament in 1794. The canal was completed in 1797. It lasted until 1955, which is quite late for a lot of canals. A lot of them were kind of went at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, as well as some sort of just after the war or fell into sort of disrepair around that time. But this survived the Second World War, lasted for another 10 years. The canal itself became part of the BCN, which is the Birmingham Canal Navigations, in 1840, when an agreement was reached along with all the other branches of the Worley and Essington. So plans were first drawn out for restoration in 1975 when they were making all like the local plans and stuff. But it was 1990 when the Lichfield and Hafton Canal Restoration Trust finally started work on the half-mile section in Fossway Lane. And then in 93 they published quite detailed plans for the Ogley locks, which we'll try and get over to in a bit. So the original locks 7 and 8 are no more, and they won't be restored. The reason being that because the canal's got to come up and over the road earlier on, that you're going to be higher up. So you don't want to go up and then drop back down again, because you've got to feed water to that top section. So as this is a canal fully on one level, there's no, on one drop, there's no summit level. You don't want to add one. More butterflies lit. You hear the crickets and stuff as well. My mic's up here, so you might not be able to hear it very well. Lock 8 was roughly where the motorway is now, and then Lock 7 was a bit further up the hill. Because of the height of the aqueduct having to go across the motorway, those 2 locks become redundant. So what they're going to do is build a deep lock on this side. I think it's just in this gap here. This certainly isn't a lock here, just like a mooring point, maybe a waiting wall. So the canal bed's going to be roughly where the shipping container is. And then if we go past these brambles, you can see the aqueduct to nowhere. I'd love to be able to get up in there, but my climbing skills aren't that good. But there's going to be a lock here somewhere, which is going to lift you up into there and carry on into the old line then, down to, up towards Ogley Junction. But that's the reason why there's a random aqueduct to nowhere. It's ready for the Lichfield Canal. So if you've ever seen this and wondered, there's your answer. You can see quite how deep it's got to be, because I'm in the bed now. And I don't know what that is. 25 to 30 foot, I would say, I guess, going up. But yeah, the forward thinking saved the canal, really. You know, if you hadn't got that in place, you'd have had no canal. You know, there's no way you're getting over that now. Not without money that probably would struggle to get going. Because of the fact that there is a chance this is happening, you know, money does come in other places. And they've got HS2, which has gone through. I mean, I don't know how many billions HS2 is costing. I can't help but think the money could have been better spent. I think a lot of people feel that way. It's started now, let's get it finished. But, you know, I don't know the figures for many of the canals, but if we were to take Wilson Barks, for example, it's about £360 million to restore the whole canal. I don't think that includes the arms. I think that's just the 54, 52 miles of the main branch. What that will do to the economy, though, in the areas that it has, is it'll put £50 million a year into the economy. Almost, if you bang canal there straight away, £50 million probably into local economy every year. 7 years payback, return on investment. That's pretty good. That's going to probably rise to maybe 60, 70 million a year. You know, as more businesses open up in the area and stuff like that. And there's health and wellbeing benefits, which I think is something like £150 million a year. Canal restoration is brilliant for the economy, local economies, you know, where these canals used to once run through, and won't take massive work to sort of restore. It's a no-brainer. Why the government's not jumping on these restorations and pumping them with money to get these things done. And not only that, people living on the canals as well. It's a different way of life. A lot of people prefer it. They don't want to live in a house. They don't want to do that. Let's get them places to live. Let's get mooring points on these canals where they can live, you know, live their life peacefully. You know, stop trying to tax everyone to death. And that's the reason why, though, isn't it? And yeah, we're never going to change the government's outlook when all they care about is what's going in their pocket. You need to push your local MPs. You need to push anybody involved to do something about this, and and start investing. The CRT have just had their budget slashed. I'll put a link in the description. In real terms, it's a massive loss in earnings coming up. The canals are under threat. The ones that are existing are under threat, let alone, you know, these blue and green corridors running through the countryside and into cities and everywhere, connecting the country and giving places for nature to live, people to live. We need to change this, and I'm not sure our government at the moment is the one to do that, but that's a different argument. But something needs to change. You need to write your MP, and you need to get on the CRT stuff and let them know get your voice heard about it. So I'm on the Anglesey and Branch Canal now, which is the other end of the Lichfield. I'm just walking up to the junction now, along with some duckies. Tell I got young kids. They get excited about loads of ducks. This is the top, basically, of the Lichfield Canal, and it's all downhill. It's all part of the Worley and Essington, which was incorporated to the BCN, and then different branches of it were abandoned in the 50s. So this is a junction bridge. It's a very nice bridge. So it's an Ogley Junction Bridge. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Ogley. Someone will tell me I'm wrong. It's a cast iron bridge. And then this is the old Lichfield Canal. So there are 8 locks that went up to the aqueduct on the motorway. The 8th one was just on the sort of other side of the motorway. So the first 6 are going to be restored. 7's missing. 8's going to be replaced by a deep lock on the other side, as I said, and then to 9A and onwards. Much of this is built on this end. There's a lot of like industrial sort of stuff going up through here. There's a garden centre up there, which I just had lunch in. I'm not too sure if that builds back onto it. It's certainly going to be a bit harder to restore this end of it. The other end's, you know, fairly open fields or decent routes around it. I know there's a few roads to get over. So from the M6 toll aqueduct, there's only one more road to get under to get here, which is not the busiest roads in the world, so that wouldn't be too much of an effort. But you immediately go into houses and businesses. So whether this is that easily doable, I don't know. But so 7 miles of this canal does give a real good shortcut and creates a loop to sort of another loop around Birmingham area for holiday makers and stuff like that as well. Thanks for watching. That pretty much ties up the Lichfield Canal, apart from updates and stuff, which we will do. I'll try and come up here again in a few months when sort of maybe the next stage is possibly being filled or whatever's happening up there. But it's been a pleasure filming on this canal, so thank you again to the Lichfield and Canal Restoration Trust. I look forward to seeing what you come up with next.